Okay, Scott Schmader, could you come up here and help me fix Hal? Yeah, it came apart. It got caught on the rails over there.
Wait. Maybe. Okay. Alrighty.
I am a HAL 9000 computer.
I'm here to talk about failure. I'm here to talk about how I grew to be comfortable with failure, about how I had transformative experiences in the makerspace here at Boise State. Now, makerspace isn't necessarily a term that everyone knows. Defined simply, a makerspace is a big kid's playground for collaboration and innovation. I like to call it a place to fail forward while creating with other people. Failing forward is about doing something, getting it wrong, and then trying again, and getting it a little bit better. And maybe you fail again, but you try again, but you fail, and you fail, and you fail, but you keep moving forward. I want that in our high schools in the Boise area. I want to connect my experience at Boise State to high schools in our area. I need to talk about what a makerspace has done for me to get you to understand. You see, I'm comfortable with failure now, but I wasn't comfortable with failure in high school. I failed 6 classes in high school, and I got D's in 9 classes. I was not connected to my education. I didn't do anything besides go to class. I went to class, I took tests, and I got okay grades. Overall, I was there, but I wasn't really connected. And I graduated. I went on to the College of Western Idaho, and I got better grades. I liked being able to pick my classes. I liked being able to feel that connection to my coursework. But I didn't do anything besides class. I went to class and I went home. And I still felt like I was missing something, like my education needed something more. But this all began to change when I got to Boise State, when I got involved in the Maker Lab here. You see, before coming here, I felt like the definition to the institutions that I was a part of was contingent on perfection, that it was defined by a series of numbers. A student ID, a test score, or my grade point average. I thought that this was how life was. I thought that I would have to limit my questions until I had background knowledge sufficient to ask a good question. I was very concerned with my questions being very good. Eventually, I got to Boise State, and I heard about this Maker Lab, the makerspace here on Boise State, but I didn't know how I would get in that door. I was very afraid to go into this space and not feel welcome. I was very afraid that I had to know what a makerspace was before I went inside of it. I heard 3D printing, and I was like, ooh, that's really cool. But I don't know how to use a 3D printer. I can't go into that space. So I had to wait until I had a project in mind. So when I was a teaching assistant in a psychology stats course here at Boise State, I realized there was an issue that we were facing as the teaching team of this class. There was a visually impaired student in the class who couldn't understand the graphs. It was very difficult to explain something that you see visually to someone who couldn't visually see. So I talked with the professor and the other teaching assistant, and we started workshopping ideas. Maybe we could use Legos or put like lentil beans on this piece of cardboard. I don't know if you've ever tried that, but lentil beans fall off. They're very tiny, and they get lost everywhere. I had a crazy idea. I was like, hey, I've heard of the Maker Lab. What if the Maker Lab could have us make this 3D printed? And I was still a little concerned. I was like, I can't go to them asking them to model this for me. So I booted up a computer and I figured out computer-assisted design. I had a bit of a background from one of my classes in middle school. And I moved my file from one program to another to see if it because I was getting ready to send it. I was like, this file might not look okay. And this is what the file looked like in this other program. It looked like a bundle of mess. I was afraid that I had just sent this file off to be printed and that it would come out and break the printer or the model would be completely disgusting like this. I was scared. But the reaction I got was the exact opposite. I was met with unbounded excitement for my project. I was told, wow, I never would have thought of this. And I hope you all have that moment at some point in your life to have someone say, wow, this is a completely original idea, because it completely transformed the way I thought about education and about the way I thought about failure. Because I wasn't told that my model was not that perfect. See, when it printed, it came out okay. There were a lot of little problems with it, but I wasn't told about these problems until after they had happened. And I think that's something that needs to be reflected on. I wasn't front-loaded with all these issues that could have arisen with a 3D printer. I was told, yes, it'll print. And so it printed. And I learned. I learned after the fact. I learned from my failures. And that was something I hadn't experienced before, not in the way that I experienced it here. I felt empowered to stick around. And I wanted to be part of this community. So I started going to a club's meetings. I got involved in the Creative Technologies Association, a group of students that works to collaboratively create things with new inventive technology. Like Hal here, who plays a random sound every time you push the button. Hal is just one example of the fun things that we do in the CTA. The CTA has empowered me to feel like I could be part of something that I had no experience in. I don't know how to code Hal. I had to have Scott come up and help me with it, right? So eventually I was like, this place is pretty cool. I want to make it bigger. I want to make it more. So I applied for an officer position, and I created my own position. I called myself the Community Engagement Officer. I became the CEO. I was ready to change the world. I was ready to put the CTA out there, but I had no idea how to change the world. I had all these ideas, but I didn't know how to make them into action. But luckily, the CTA provided. It provided me the chance to join the University Innovation Fellows, a program that teaches students how to become agents of change on their college campus. UIF taught me how to change the world. I was ready to use all of these materials that the University Innovation Fellows program taught me. I was ready to push the CTA forward, but I didn't really know exactly what that looked like. I didn't know where I wanted the CTA to go. I just knew I wanted it to be out there more. But luckily, I met some people that taught me exactly where the CTA needs to go. I met students at Centennial High School who already had a makerspace, who had an incredible librarian that was pushing them in the same way that the librarians here at Boise State were pushing us. They were learning by failing, and I loved it. I loved hearing them have this experience in high school that I never had, this connection beyond the classroom. And I thought, well, wait a second. How can I connect what we do here to what they're doing in their high school? And I started thinking, well, not just Centennial, but every high school in the Boise area. Every high school should have the chance to have a makerspace, to have informal learning, to push beyond the realm of the classroom. But I didn't, and I knew how to do this. I knew from UIF. I knew a new thing that I had never heard of before called design thinking. Design thinking helps you understand a process for creating ideas into action. So I took some of these methodologies to Centennial, and I had them start throwing ideas up on a whiteboard. I'm not going to list off all of these ideas because, as you can see, they came up with a lot. They took my questions and ran with them. They put sticky notes up all over, and I spent an hour going through these. I spent multiple hours going through these and thinking, what does this mean? I use design thinking. Design thinking starts with empathy. I started by understanding what the needs of high school students in our area are. And then I started to define what types of problems I saw. I saw problems with formal learning. I saw problems with the way perfection is geared in our classrooms today. And I started to create ideas, and I started to have other people create ideas. But I didn't know which idea to run with, and I still don't know what idea to run with. And I don't know if I ever will know the right idea, but I'm ready to try all of them. But first, I need more of them, and that's where you guys come in. I need ideas. I need to know what the community in Boise is already like, so that I can shape it for the future. I need to know what makerspaces are out there. I need to know what you can do in a makerspace. I need to know if you have a 3D printer that you're willing to donate. I need to know if you have skills in some kind of crazy technology that I've never heard of that you're willing to share with us, because we love learning new things. I'm ready to listen. If you have no idea what a makerspace is, if you don't know that you're a maker yet, because you are a maker, but it's what you make that you might not know. I want you to be able to come forward and fail with us. I want you to ask yourself, how will you support and become a part of the maker culture and spaces of informal learning in our community? This question is pretty big. It's not something that you can answer easily. Maybe you have no idea. Maybe you go, yeah, I'm ready to support you. How do I do that? It's something that I'm still not fully sure about. But I'm ready to fail. I'm ready to be a fantastic ambassador of informal learning. I am ready for you to come fail with us. I'm ready for you to continue this conversation afterwards with Fail Forward Boise. I want you to come fail with us.